And here we go.
We are live.
We are live. Hi, Dawn.
Hello, Leslie. Hello, everybody.
Yay. Okay. Hopefully, we will get a few people in shortly, but we are going to talk a little bit about boundaries and how
Uh-huh.
they affect us and
Yeah.
how they affect our mindset. I
Uh-huh.
know that I've been struggling a little bit,
Uh-huh.
a lot this last week. We talked a little bit about that today.
Yeah.
I don't know how. This last week. Oop, we talked a little bit about that. My phone's going. Yeah, so I don't know if you've had similar struggles in like your reselling and all of that,
Uh-huh.
but I know that I've struggled a lot with boundaries and kind of with both not only hello. Oh, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. I know I was super excited to see that milestone. Um, uh, but yes, I know I've been struggling a lot with the one person I buy a lot from,
Yeah.
and kind of creating a boundary with him.
Uh-huh.
Basically, kind of trying to struggle with that. My story with that boundary and trying to establish that boundary is, I purchased a lot of jewelry from him. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I feel kind of like in between a rock and a hard place because I get a lot from him. It's very good quality. It's great. But I feel pressured
Right.
um, sometimes that if I'm not buying enough,
Uh-huh.
fast enough,
Uh-huh.
doing enough, quick enough,
Uh-huh.
whatever, that he'll kind of almost like threaten that he's going to sell to other people or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And it's kind of like I need to establish like this boundary with him that it's
Right.
like, fine,
Uh-huh.
because honestly, I don't think that he really will. But also it's just like I need to kind of establish it like even in my head, like,
Yeah.
whatever. There is more things out there elsewhere,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
I've been very spoiled because it's been the mother load, for
Right.
me.
Right.
Um, so, it's been hard to establish a boundary with like that with somebody that's kind of
Yeah.
giving me a lot.
I think it's important for us to know like when we feel uncomfortable with a situation to understand and honor that our feeling is valid, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of times when we feel uncomfortable, we try to push past the uncomfortable feeling and we're people pleasing at that point because we don't want somebody to be upset with us. And what he's using, like what a lot of marketers use that is very toxic, I think, in the sales world is fear-based marketing.
Hmm.
There's a lack story attached to it. If you don't buy from me, I'm going to sell to somebody else. You're going to miss out. And they're playing on that FOMO. They're playing on that idea that you're going to feel lack and respond to that and respond to them. The problem is that when you feel the uncomfortableness inside your body, you need to listen and honor that
Hmm.
and and to know that your feeling is valid and true. And if it's uncomfortable for you, it's telling you that there's a toxic element to this, and it is actually your body knows what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Your body is like the best answer. If you're seeking answers, seeking clarity on anything, your body is going to give you those answers, right? And so I think coming down to it, when somebody is using fear-based marketing, when they're using this, lack strategy or this pain strategy, in the coaching world, we call it, focusing on the pain points. When people use
Hmm.
pain points to try to sell their product, to me, that says that there's not integrity in the product or not integrity in the person who's selling it.
Hmm.
And
Right.
we need to listen and honor that, and it's literally okay to say no.
Hmm. Do you feel that? I mean, sometimes I feel that we as resellers do that to a degree, like a fear-based
Mhm.
market. I mean, I know as a vintage seller, I mean, I've used that, fear of missing out in a
Well,
way.
I don't. It's. I think FOMO. I think when we're intentionally creating FOMO for somebody, I think we have to really look at that because like, yeah. I mean, the truth is, as resellers, we're not Walmart, we're not
Mhm.
Target. We don't have our products are not like shelved on the lines, right? We have individual, unique products for sale. And if this is on sale right now, it could sell. That to me is not so much fear-based marketing, but like,
Mhm.
hey, look, if you're interested in this, grab it because it may go. That's
Right.
actual fact.
Right.
um,
Exactly.
but when you're pressuring, see, like for me, if I'm doing sales, even in my coaching and in my reselling, in both, okay, if I'm doing sales, I don't want to pressure anybody into buying what I have.
Hmm.
It's really important that I don't pressure anybody because when people buy out of pressure, they tend to be the worst customer
Yes.
later on down the road,
Exactly.
right?
And
So
that's when you get the returns. That's when you get people regretting.
yes, and that's when you get like all kinds of issues and customer-based
Mhm.
service and everything else. And this can be really, really messy. And that
Right.
I think is in any business, right?
Right.
If you ever like went to a car lot and have like a car salesman going down your throat the whole time you're there, like to me,
Mhm.
I just want to get in my old car and go somewhere else, right? Like don't stop bothering me. Furniture sales, the same
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
So I think like, but I do think like when we're saying this is on sale, this could go, that isn't really creating, I mean, it is kind of creating a FOMO, of course, but it's also actual fact.
Hmm. Right.
you know
Exactly.
like I'm not going to go and if you love this product, get this product,
Hmm.
right?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
sales. That's
Yep.
sales. But when you're using pressure to say, if you don't get this, I'm going to intentionally strip it away from you so that you can never have it again,
Hmm.
that's fear-based marketing.
Exactly. That's true. That's
Then
true.
there's difference in that.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some? I see a couple of other people have joined us. We're talking a little bit about boundaries, and
Mhm.
if anybody here, feel free to like say hello and join in here if you've got any struggles with boundaries in your business. Whether
Mhm.
it's with people that with customers, with people that you purchase from, people that your family. I mean, we've all got struggles with boundaries in
Yeah.
some way with
Yes.
our business. Even, sometimes I struggle with boundaries just in terms of, another boundary that I struggle with personally, and is just saying no to people
Mhm.
that want things from me, and then I can't work on my business.
Right.
So that's another one. What's
Me too.
something that yeah, I was going to say, is that something that you struggle with on?
So one of the areas that I struggle in is when people communicate with me through Messenger.
Hi, Penny.
There's this idea, and consciously I know that this is not the way it should be, but I subconsciously I think respond to this. So for me, one of those things is people will pop in with requests and ask me for things, and this is in both businesses, but kind of mainly in my coaching business right now.
Mhm.
But it can bleed over to resellers because I know that you talked about this even on YouTube and getting messages after a sale, is that sometimes we think we have to be on 24/7 and answering messages 24/7, which we have to remember that we also have personal lives. you know, we gotta make dinner, gotta take showers, gotta, get dressed, gotta go to the grocery store. But we also
Do
have
we?
other things that we have to do in our business too, right? And so sometimes I think like with messaging, and like responding to messages right away and always being there and always answering right away. I think sometimes that is also a people pleasing behavior and can create a lot of like energetic discord in your own self. Because, we talked about this. I think we talked about this, I don't think in the last one, but the one before it, about obligation energy,
Mm-hmm.
and so like we are responding out of obligation.
Yeah.
That's not the best energy to be responding in, right? So we're not doing them a favor. We're not doing ourselves a favor because we're thinking the whole time, oh my God, like I really got to be getting the pizza out of the oven right now, or shit, that ad needs to go. Sorry, shoot, that ad needs to go out. Those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
it can impede our business. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I've done, because I do struggle with this and I'm still not really, really good at it, but I'm working on it, is to set a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I will only answer personal messages between this time and this time.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes.
And that is still a struggle.
Yes.
But that's kind of how I'm working on it. I have to give myself boundaries. It's not necessarily the people, the boundaries. I have to give myself boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and respect my own boundaries for other people to respect my boundaries. If I'm
Yeah.
not respecting my boundaries, nobody else can respect my boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know like for me, I have to definitely give myself boundaries with my like ADHD because
Yeah.
I will like for example, I had from my whatnot sales and my YouTube sales from the weekend, I had because I was just like not in a shipping mood on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
I only shipped a few things on Sunday, but I had 27 things that I had to ship out this morning.
I am feeling you. Go ahead. Yep.
And I hate shipping
Mm-hmm.
so much. Like I hate it so much. Like I can easily get squirreled,
Yes.
and so there was like a really fascinating Facebook messaging thread that I was like wanting to follow, like in a group chat that I'm in. And
Uh-huh.
I, I was like, okay, I have to shut this down. Like I have to turn off Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that the only thing that I can do to focus so I can ship is turn on an audiobook. It's the
Yes.
only thing that I can do to focus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is like the boundary that I have to create because
Yeah.
otherwise I cannot focus. I have to shut everything down. I can't even watch a YouTube video. I can't put on a Netflix show. I can't do anything that will
Mm-hmm.
take my focus off. The only thing I can do is I can't even listen to like music. The
Really.
only thing, yes, I have to put on an audiobook. It's the only thing I
Mm-hmm.
can do. And it's like this little like it's like I feel like I'm like corralling myself. So it's like in a way
Yes.
it's like boundary. And
Yes.
it's the only thing I can do to like keep myself in this little square so I can actually ship my stuff
That
out.
that is knowing thyself, right? That is knowing
Mhm.
thyself at the purest level. Because, like for me, I'll go on Netflix or Hulu, and I'll put on a show that is like reruns to it that I'm not interested really in like watching over again, but it's in the background because there's background noise. And people with
Mhm.
ADHD need to have some kind of noise going on because our minds are like, nee, nee, nee. Otherwise, if it's
Right.
quiet, we're like this. So yeah, for me, it is Netflix and Hulu. I'll put on like Law and Order reruns from like season one and let
Right.
them just go as I'm doing my thing. But it's the same thing. But it's just kind of like a if I was to put on an audiobook, I'd want to listen to the audiobook.
Yeah, exactly.
you
Exactly. It's
know?
like it's crazy. It's just like
Yeah. I
what
think
do
it's
I
knowing thyself. So
Yeah.
that's like one of the things that we can do is like, get to know like what is going to work for you and stick with it.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
I'm not
this
sh
morning, go
Oh, go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Well, I was
No,
gonna say, I'm not sure who we've got left. It's kind of a quiet group today. But please feel free, like throw out like some issues or some questions that you might have, regarding, boundaries and things
Mhm.
that you need to kind of bring up, regarding, help with your boundaries and things that'll,
Mhm.
I mean, we're here to help. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'll share one of mine that I did this
mhm,
morning talking about shipping, because that was like a big one for me, is that I did like a whole live yesterday. And I sold some things and I promised everybody it was going to be shipped out this morning. Right? I
mhm,
promised the whole group, oh my God, all your purchases will be shipped out Monday morning. Well, I woke up this morning with a massive headache.
mhm.
I went to go print out labels and I had no ink in my printer and I was not going to have a car at noon. So from 8:30 to noon, that was my window to go get printer ink, which like the store is like 30 minutes from my house. So to go get printer ink, drive through the traffic, come back. Actually, I had a shower first. I had to take care of my headache. I was in such a frenzy this morning because I had promised everybody that I would have everything shipped out this morning, that I put myself in such a frenzy. Did I get it done? Yes, I did. I got it done. But as I was processing this and going down the street and just so exhausted, head panging, trying to going through, we live in a beach area. So it's like massive traffic right now in the summertime. I was
Mhm,
like, one of the things that I need to do is stop promising people things,
mhm.
because we don't know what's going to happen the next morning, right? And so it was almost like I felt like the God divine was coming in and being like, here's a little lesson for you. Stop promising, because that was a people pleasing behavior. I
Mhm.
wanted people to be pleased with the idea that they were going to have their shipment out first thing in the morning. I
Yes.
want everybody to be accepting of me,
Yes. How
right?
many of us here are people pleasers?
Mhm.
Like, who in the chat is a people pleaser? That's what I want to know. Who's a
Mhm.
people pleaser? I'm a people pleaser. I grew up and it was expected of me to be a people pleaser.
Yes, me too.
That
I had to
was,
please my mother.
yeah. Melissa's oh yeah. Oh, Mel, is that you, Mel? Kristen's a people pleaser. Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I was expected to be a people pleaser. Like, it was,
Yeah,
you were seen, you were not heard.
that's right.
You were seen,
Yeah.
not heard, and you did what people expected of you.
Mhm.
And it to this day, it was
Mhm.
so hard to change that
Mhm.
dynamic. Um, so difficult to change that. I mean, I still struggle with that.
Me too.
And
I mean,
it caused problems in my marriage,
mhm.
my first marriage, my second
Mhm.
marriage, my relationships.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I mean, granted, my husband that I'm separated with, we're still friends, but I mean, it was a huge issue between us forever because he
Mhm.
always would say, like, that's not what I want from you. That's not
Right.
what I want. Like, I don't
Mhm.
want you to feel like you have to make dinner at night. You have to
Right.
make Sunday dinner. You have to do this. I'm not expecting you to do laundry. I'm not expecting you to do like all these things for me. Like, that's not what I
Mhm.
want from you.
Right.
And oh, see, okay, exactly. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is like that it's so hard to like realize like that's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm looking at this comment here, and she's like, I recently learned that I will never please my mother. Hardest thing to accept ever.
mhm,
And you know what? My mother is the same. I'm sure Leslie can, like, if
mhm,
she's saying, grew up to have the
mhm.
expectation to please your mother.
Yeah.
I had that too.
Mhm,
And so it's like, you know what? It's not so much about trying to please her. It's about, why do we have a need to please them?
mhm. Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
it's like, maybe that's the part that we need to look at. Now, I call myself a non-people pleaser in training. I used to call myself a recovering people pleaser, but that's not true because I'm still people pleasing.
Yeah.
So I'm a non-people pleaser in training. And it has been like this for a very long time. I will
Mhm.
tell you, it's not something easy to shift out of completely.
Yep.
But the very thing that I think is really important is that when we are aware that we're doing it, that's when we can begin to make changes and shift
Yes.
things for ourselves and create better boundaries. The awareness is very powerful.
Hmm. So it was really fascinating. So like, I'm like one of 1,000 careers, and part of like my ADHD and like all of my like mental
Mhm,
health things, like one of the
mhm,
things that I would do was take all these classes and learn about and try to like become transform into these different things.
right.
Um, I am a certified yoga instructor. I also am a certified life coach.
Mhm,
Never really pursued it, but I am
mhm,
a certified life coach. One of the things that I learned, which was fast, it was actually great for me to learn a lot of these tips and tricks. But one of the things that I learned, and I have always come back to this, and this was great, like when I was trying to like heal thy own self, uh,
mhm,
was I would always do things. And I used to do this with my husband all the time. I would always do things for him,
mhm.
constantly do things for him. Like, I'm going to make you dinner. I'm going to do this for you. I'm doing this. And then, like, he would not ever respond the way that I would want him to.
Right.
And I would get so mad. I'd be like, but I did all this. And like, why don't you love me? Why don't you like, and I remember I would do this with my mom,
Mhm. Yep.
it's like, I'm trying to do, like, I'm getting straight A's. Why don't you love me? Like, I'm
Mhm.
I'm doing all this. Why don't you love me? And the thing is like, I'm doing this for me. Like,
Right.
I'm doing all this
Right.
like, I'm not doing this for you.
Mm-mm.
This is, and like your reactions for you, like
Mhm.
that's your reaction.
Right.
I'm like, it's not about me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
what I do is my own deal. Like, that's the thing. And like, I think we all
Mhm.
need to learn that, like we'll never please our own parents or our own spouses, our own, like, that's their own deal. Like, they're
Right.
never going to get, if they're not going to get pleased, they're not going to get pleased. No matter what we do,
That's right.
it's not going to happen.
That's
We
right.
can't make it happen.
That's right.
So I guess that's my long way of saying it. Like, it's not, it doesn't matter what we do. We need to be ourselves, be our own true self, our own authentic self. And if they can't accept us for
Mhm.
who that is, shame on them.
I also think it's important for us to become aware when we're doing something with the expectation that we're going to receive something,
Yes. Hmm.
right? That comes from a trauma wound inside of
Yes,
us somewhere.
exactly.
And a lot of times I don't say that to shame yourself. Like there's no shame here, right? No guilt
Yeah.
here. Like we all do it. But when you do it and when you're aware of it, I love to create intention. So, like, one of the things that I will say is this: when you ask your brain a question, it will search for the answer,
Right.
right? Or when you ask your brain to do something, it'll search for a way to do that. So, like, setting intentions in the morning around this is really, really great, powerful work. And one of the ways that I say that we do that is like we literally just go in and say to ourselves, okay, today, I want to be aware when I am people pleasing or when I am creating action because I have the expectation of receiving something.
Hmm.
I want to be aware of when that happens so that I can be in presence and begin to shift it in that moment and drop it and let go
Hmm.
and move on throughout the day. Because as
Exactly.
soon as you tell your brain to be aware of something, it's going to be.
Right. Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
amazing.
So
This
well put.
brain is amazing. As crazy as this brain is right here, the brain is amazing.
So well put.
Mhm,
Yeah. So well put. Yeah. That's perfect. Yep.
mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
See,
So
that's
it's
great.
not, it's like all this stuff is coming from trauma. It's just those little trauma
Mhm.
wounds that we have, It's these little things that we were programmed and taught from the time that we were itty bitty bitty.
Mhm.
And it just plays out in different ways as we grow and mature and in our relationships, in our businesses, and
Yeah.
everything. It's not just in the business. If you notice that there's people pleasing in your business, there's also going to be people pleasing in your life, right?
Mhm.
And it's not is why we're doing it, not necessarily that we're doing it,
Right. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yes. Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, have you okay, a question for you, Don. Have you done your YouTube channel yet?
I have not.
We got to get you doing that.
I know. I know. I've had so much going on. I've been like because the ADHD brain and the two businesses that I have going on and trying to make them both successful at the same time. It has created not a whole lot of room to do a whole lot of things. But yes, it is. YouTube is one of the places that I know is going to expand my business. So it needs to be a priority. And I was sitting there, I was thinking about that this morning, actually, because I knew we had this call today. And I was thinking we talked about this before, and I was thinking about that. Like, why am I avoiding it?
Mhm.
Because even as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, yeah, excuse, excuse, excuse. Listen to those excuses that you're making up inside your head. So why am I avoiding it? And one of the ways that I can begin to uncover that and to like break that down, instead of shaming myself and be like, okay, I didn't do it, I should be doing it. I think I need to go, why am I not doing it? What's the real reason behind why I'm not doing it? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid that it might be successful? Am I afraid that it will fail? Right? What am I afraid of? And so creating an intention around that would look like, show me Show me why I'm avoiding it. Show me why I'm avoiding. Okay, beautiful brain. Show me why I'm avoiding doing the YouTube videos right now. And I just leave that.
Right.
Just leave that. Creating attention, right? So I'm asking my brain to do something. Now, I will say this. Probably when we get off this live, I'm probably going to go into my journal and I'm going to take a blue pen and I'm going to write that down. There is something about writing in blue ink it's something with the brain. I don't know how it works, but there's something with writing in blue ink that when you write in blue ink, for whatever reason, it triggers a different response, a different I
Hmm.
do believe in energy responses too, as you know. So, like, I do believe in energetic responses too, but it triggers the brain to be more aware, I think, or triggers a different kind of activation in your brain. So blue ink, red ink is so much. So red ink is kind of like you remember getting red. You remember when you were a kid and you get red inked on your papers. It's going to help you to pay attention, right? It's going to help the brain to pay attention. So blue ink and red ink, different colored ink is going to help you to pay attention versus just regular black ink. But I will say that when you write something down, you're also connecting into your energetic centers. I don't know how much you want to go into that, but you're also connecting into your energetic centers that are going to speak to your brain directly, and
Mhm.
it'll make it even more powerful. So it's really good to say it out loud, but it's also really powerful to write it down as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, any exercises that we can do that you would recommend to help us with like journaling and boundaries? Like,
Yeah. So the one thing that I would say, instead of, a lot of times people try to take a lot of times people will try to take like a statement that feels negative and try to make it into a positive statement. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because when you do that, your brain knows that you're making a fib or you're lying.
mhm,
Okay. So instead of like trying to turn a negative situation into a positive statement, I always like to use the why. Why is this happening? Why am I creating this? Why am I not producing the result? Or why am I afraid of this? Or what? So I think like in the journaling, when we begin to journal, let's journal something let's try to manifest something, right? When we're trying to manifest some results. Okay. So I would start with a statement that says, I completely desire and would fully enjoy to have this experience, and then to write out the experience as it is. I can see that experience as I write that experience, and I would write that as well. I can see that experience as I write that experience, and I know that this experience is for me. It's a really powerful statement to the brain. It's a really powerful statement in manifestation, right? So I can see this, I can see as I write this, I can see the experience, and I know this experience is for me. So then at that point, I would literally just write, why am I still in a place of desire instead of a place of still experiencing? Why am I still in a place of why am I in a place of still desiring rather than experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
And let that go. Here's what happens when you write that, when you say it, read it out loud, write it, read it out loud. When you do that, as you're moving throughout your day, things will start popping up into your awareness. It's crazy how it works, but it works. Things will start popping up into your awareness. You'll begin to see, you'll begin to understand, you'll begin to go, oh, wow, maybe that's the reason why I'm seeing, maybe I'm seeing somebody write something. Somebody writes a post that speaks to exactly what I wrote about that morning. And I have the answer right there. And then I go, okay, so now that I'm in my awareness, what can I do? What action can I take to change this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think journaling that is a really powerful way to do this. So once I become aware, I can go to my notebook and I can go, okay, so now that I'm aware that X, Y, and Z is happening in my world, what can I do to shift this? Put the paper away, walk away.
Yeah.
A lot of times what people do is they ask themselves a question, they sit there and they stare at the blank white paper expecting an answer. And so what happens is you become so focused on not having the answer that you don't get the answer. So when you write the answer, when you write the question and know your brain will answer, you can let that go and move on about your life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Yeah. So I really like journaling. I find that I get better results, more powerful results when I am redirecting my focus and asking myself why these things aren't happening. What is it that I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to see? What am I not seeing? And not making that a judgment or a shame or a criticism or anything like that, but understanding that we call these things blocks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in blocks. I believe that when we believe that we have a block, we have created a block.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The idea that we have blocks is why we have blocks.
Yeah.
And so there's always an answer to everything. There's always a reason behind everything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like the best exercise that I could say is to ask yourself why. In a journaling, write it down, use some blue ink, write it down, talk to yourself about what it is that you desire, get really real.
Right.
Don't pretend, get real. This is what I desire. I can see it in my mind. I know it's possible for me. How do I get there? Or
Yeah.
why am I not there? Not how do I get there, but why am I not there?
Mm-hmm.
What's standing in my way?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the best exercise I would have for that.
Right. If anybody has questions for Dawn or myself even or anything, please go ahead and type that in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to hear your questions, and it could be anything, even if it's not about boundaries or anything, but please go ahead and type it in the chat. I think this has been so far such a great discussion.
Yes.
So I think let's bring it back to, going back to how let's circle back into, productivity and,
Mm-hmm.
so many of these things like so much of this can also lead to mental roadblocks and
Yes.
stuff. We get hung up on a lot of these, a lot of this can create emotional barriers, and a lot of this, can lead to, a lot of times I mean, for me, I was struggling, we were talking a little bit about like some of the boundary issues that I was having,
Mhm.
with my one guy that I was buying from. He was stressing me out so much. It was leading to me feeling very sick,
Yeah.
anxious.
Mhm.
I was, super stressed. I still feel like pretty stressed, but
Mhm.
a lot of times, like when I get to that point, it can lead me down to like a depression, a
Yeah.
spiral where I don't want to work. I mean, and other things, not just like somebody like that, but
Mhm.
sometimes when I don't create a boundary,
Mhm.
um, when I start feeling like I'm being walked all over
Yeah.
or whatever, when I just get really
Yeah.
frustrated, I can get into like a depression spiral.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if other people feel that. I mean, please let me know if you guys also, Dawn, you feel it. Okay. So if other
I
people
mean,
feel that way,
mhm.
I mean, what are some great suggestions for avoiding this? I mean, I obviously like creating your boundaries and adhering to them, but I mean, I, I struggle sometimes with, I mean, it's not just in my business, but it's just in general.
You remember me telling you about the Whatnot Live where I was like, nothing was happening and I just about started to cry. And I
Hmm.
actually had to leave the live because I was like getting really emotional about it. So one of the things that I want to say to this is that um the very first thing that I needed to do when this happened is that I needed to accept that I was in pain. And that me being in pain didn't mean that there was anything wrong with me.
Hmm.
I really like when we start talking about depression and anxiety and other, especially like mood disorders and personality disorders and things of that nature. There are things in our world that can trigger and spiral events that can cause this, right? I deal with mental depression. I have for a very long time and coming from a very traumatic childhood. And so like I get this I got this idea that I needed to battle my depression. And I think that's the wrong way to deal with depression. I think
Hmm.
battling depression is the wrong way to deal with depression. Sometimes when I find myself with a triggered depressive event, the very first thing that I need to do is I need to accept myself.
Hmm.
This hurts. This is causing pain. This is a trauma result coming up. That doesn't mean that there's anything really wrong with me. It just means that I'm having a moment where I feel pain and I can hold myself and love myself through this moment.
Hmm.
So I think when we're going through the moments, when the moments have come up, when we're afraid, when we're anxious, when we're feeling stressed, I think to accept I'm feeling very stressed. This does not feel good. I don't know the way out of it right now. I don't have any answers, but I just need to hold myself and accept that it's
Hmm.
okay that I'm feeling a little anxious right now and I'm going to love myself through it. Right? I think in order to get to like what we do next, we have to be with ourselves in the moment.
Hmm.
And once we start to come out of these moments, like these depressive moments, like for me, it was like, okay, I really had to honor that I was feeling this unacceptance, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what the base of it was. Like wasn't feeling accepted. I wasn't feeling loved in the moment. And I was looking for some external validation that I was okay. And like in that moment, the pain struck in that moment, I wasn't thinking, oh, I need external validation. I wasn't thinking about the conscious, coaching talk. I was just hurting.
Hmm.
So I had to hold myself through that. And then once I got through the episode, once I walked myself through the episode, I'm like, okay, what are some things that I can do to feel better? It's a great question I like to ask myself when I'm hurting. What is something I can do to make myself feel better? Sometimes it's go take a nap and I listen to myself, right? Sometimes it's go for a walk, get dressed, get in the shower, go outside, those kind of things. Listen to yourself. Once I got through the episode, then it was like, okay, so I want some ideas on how I can expand my visibility and what would feel really great. And next thing you know, Leslie's on the phone going, why don't you do it on Poshmark? and, and so like, understanding, like, when you begin to ask yourself those questions, the answers are going to come in a wide variety of answer from
Mhm.
sources. Like, mine was from my friend, right?
Mhm. And how did
Didn't
you
get
do on Poshmark?
I did great. I had two great live sales. But then I was thinking, so here's the kicker. I was like, okay, I've had really two great live shows. It's really great. I'm excited to do another one. But what if, honey, you do another live and there's nobody there? That was what I had to ask myself. And I said, okay, obviously it means nothing about me.
Right.
It's just time and space, and it's okay. Like, so I think a lot of this is walking yourself through it, holding your own hand, and understanding that when these moments come up, it doesn't mean that there's something broken in you. Like, we're not broken,
No,
right? We're not broken. We're whole people going through experiences. And like, I just to be with yourself in the moment and not judge and criticize any of it.
I will say this, that from experience regarding live sales, I've had so many that have been
Yeah.
amazing. And then I will just get on one day and
Mhm.
there will be zero people there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
one of the things that I realized, and this is really important because this is true. Like, that's just the matter of sales, right? This is true. And so, like, the thing is what I realized is that I was taking it very personally.
mhm,
I was making it mean something about me because I wasn't fulfilling a need within myself in that moment. I wasn't really walking myself through it. I was just having an expectation of results. Remember, we
right,
talked about when we start doing things to have an expectation of results, that's when we get really hung up. Do things because you love to do them with no
right,
expectations.
exactly,
Hmm. Yeah. But
exactly. Yeah,
but it was like, walking myself through that and it is true. Oh my God, you guys, it is true. I mean, I mean, even in my coaching business, I've had months where I've made, incredible engagement and people
mhm,
coming in to work with me and, like, in my messaging. And then months was like, I was like in starvation, like, what is
yeah,
going on here? Like, where are all the people? It's true in any business. When we start making it mean something about ourselves, though, that's when we start have to holding our own hand and walk through it.
I know. I know. It is hard. I mean, I know, like,
Mhm.
even for me, like, you can get really spoiled where you do start to expect it. It's like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, oh, I've been averaging, X amount the last like
yes,
2 weeks each
yeah.
live. And then all of a sudden you're gonna go on and you're gonna be like, you almost like spend that money before you get it, or like, oh, yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah, I know for sure I will be able to do XYZ this week. So I can cover that bill. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, like, man,
Yeah, there's no certainties.
yeah, it's like the the joys of working for yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, and I
But
think last week, Kristen was talking about like having multiple streams of income, and it
yes,
kind of came up in that discussion, and it's
yeah,
so important to have like those little extra things to fall back on, because
yeah,
if one doesn't do well, then you have others. I mean, I know,
yeah.
like, for me, I've got eBay and I've got
Mhm,
whatnot, and then now
mhm,
YouTube, and
mhm.
I'm trying to work out these like subscription boxes now
Yeah,
that people are requesting for resellers.
mhm,
Trying to figure that out,
right.
and I mean, it is what it is. It's like trying to figure out all these different things,
Yeah.
and it's just, you know,
I think passive income is really, really important too. Not even just having multiple streams, but also having passive income. So like for what, like, creating something, so like where you do all the work in the beginning, but it's going to continually create money throughout time.
right.
So I think like having that buffer, like for me right now, I'm very slowly working through some ebooks because I know that ebooks can create, a great passive kind of, but it takes a lot of work in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if we can allow ourselves the space to create more streams of passive income
Mhm.
and revenue, and to know, like, for you and I, like, doing multiple things all the time, which is why, it can be really, really, really stressful when things aren't happening. I think having that the subscription boxes, having something that's on repeat where you know that you're going to receive a certain amount each month, so that when you do go on and do lives, when you do go on and list things in your stores, when you do go in and auction things off on eBay, you're doing it with the love of doing it and not with the pressure of making money.
Right.
The pressure of making money is going to energetically strip us every single time.
Yep.
And so again, it's like, not doing something for the expectation of a result, but doing something because you really enjoy doing it and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good in your system. You don't care. It's not that you don't care that you're, but doing it with the intention of enjoying doing it without the intention of always having to make something from it. So
Yeah.
that if we have a passive stream of income coming in that's taking care of that baseline, then everything else is gravy and puts you in more overflow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what's some of your ideas for creating some passive income?
Yeah. I'd love to hear some ideas from everybody who's watching, and there's a few of you guys out there. So
Mhm.
yeah, what's some ideas that you guys have? Let's hear them.
So I can kind of, for those of you who for those of you who are an expert in a certain area,
Mm-hmm.
you could create like a Pantheon account, or you can create like a subscription account, or even a Facebook group where you have prepared things that people can learn from, like an evergreen kind of course where you're like teaching in video. Again, it's work in the beginning, but it's continually possible. You can bring people in.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way that you guys could do that. You could create some like videos around your expert advice on so and so,
Mm-hmm.
and create a monetization for those videos where it's like a coursework where people are continuously coming in and purchasing. So that's one way you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the subscription boxes, I would call that a multiple stream of income. I would not call that a passive stream. So a passive stream of income is basically where you're not having to put a whole lot of work into it.
Right.
It runs
Now,
itself.
what are your you said you're working on some ebooks. What are you working on?
So there's a different side to me. So like for
I
me,
know.
there's two different, I'm doing some dream books. I'm doing some dream interpretation, like how to interpret dreams, understanding some of the symbolisms that you have in dreams. And I'm also doing a motivation series, which is just basically like and in the depression zone, as we've been
Mhm.
talking about. So I've actually got two little projects going on right now. I'm not sure like which one wants to launch first,
Mhm.
but I've got good content in both of them. And the thing that's beautiful about ebooks is that it does take a lot of work in the beginning, but it's not a whole lot of work.
Mhm.
So I have one I want to get to editing really soon. So that's one way I'm doing. I'm going to create some passive income. I think that's going to be, I love to write and I love to share like what I've experienced and the things that I've moved through. So I think that is going to be my tool for passive income, basically right now on the coaching end of it. Reselling, I'm still getting my feet in the water, as to say,
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure that out. But for the coaching piece, that's definitely what I'm doing.
I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely let us know when you launch
I
those
will.
books,
I
because
will. I
I'm
will.
sure a lot of us would be interested in
Yeah.
what you have to say. So
Yeah. Dreams is one of my favorite things. I love to
mhm.
talk about it. So I'm excited about that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions for Dawn or myself? It's been quiet
Well,
today.
quiet. It's a quiet Monday, isn't it?
It is, it is. It's kind of, I don't know, is it a full moon, or are we close to that? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it just seems like it's been like energetic, like for me, energetically, I'm off this
Yeah.
week. And I don't know, like for me, like I know for me, like in my area, very weird weather. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever it's like weird weather, my
Yeah.
whole head feels off, everything feels weird.
Yeah.
Like I just don't feel that great. And so I think that
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's why I'm like, I just kind of feel, ugh.
I'm the same way. I'm definitely connected to what's going on in the weather, because like if it is like really hot and stormy,
Mhm.
I feel energetically drained and tired.
Mhm.
I
Me
really
too.
do.
Yeah.
And I think the planetary stuff too. I think energetically it has an effect on all of us. When things are going down in the world, they also seem to have like an energetic pull as well. But I do, I think at the same time is like recognizing and being aware of that is like the key, and
Yeah.
like not making it wrong.
Mhm.
I'm energetically off. So what?
Yeah.
So what? Who cares?
Yeah.
I'm a human being going through stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with me. It doesn't mean I'm broken. I'm going through something. But yeah, I mean, for me, I felt like I've been a little bit more on this week. But like last week, I was completely off my key star.
Right. Oh, August 1st, next full moon, August 23rd for the next Mercury
Okay.
retrograde. Great.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Actually, it's funny for me. I don't know about anybody else who's listening, but like when Mercury retrograde is happening, for me, I actually sometimes I have like better results when Mercury retrograde is happening versus when it's not. It's crazy. I don't know why. I'm a little bit backwards, I guess.
I actually don't feel that much different during
Mm-hmm.
Mercury retrograde. I don't know why, like, I don't, but I definitely feel the full moon.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, and oh my god, like, when I used to work in okay, Kristen, tell me if you had this too, but working in healthcare
Mm-hmm.
during full moons,
Mm-hmm.
holy hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
It would be off the chain.
My
Full
son
moon
was
time
born.
and, like, like, I was in public health for a while, and, like, people were off their rocker. Like, and I was in dental, so it was, like, not even, like, hospital stuff,
Yeah.
but people were, like, literally, like, crazy during
My
full
my
moon.
son was born during a full moon. I'll never forget that, because like I've always heard that, and never really wasn't really didn't really know that he was actually being born during a full moon. But like all of a sudden, like things started to go haywire and crazy in the hospital, and there's all kinds of
Mhm.
emergencies and things happening all around
Okay.
me. And the nurse comes in and was like, "It's a full moon. Excuse us, it's a full
Mhm.
moon." I'm like, that
Yep.
ain't good. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we would have, like, twice the amount of emergencies, people calling for emergencies. It would
Mhm.
be, like, just, I mean, and people would be, like, calling, and they'd be telling us all this crazy stuff, and it was just ridiculous.
Totally,
It was
totally, totally.
ridiculous, just
Mhm. Well,
yeah.
you think about it. If the moon can affect our water, our ocean, which
Mhm.
it does, it affects our tides, right?
Yes.
We are like what? How much water are we? Like we're mostly water. So of course, like it's gonna affect us as well, right?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow, that's so
yeah,
true. I never thought
it
about
is.
that. Wow.
I can't remember how much we're water, but like we're a great deal of water. We're made
Yeah.
up of a lot of water. So like, yeah, if the moon affects our water, it's
Mhm.
gonna affect us too.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually crazy. I never thought about it that way, but that's so true. Yeah.
I feel the moon the heaviest during the new moon. I don't know why, but like the new moon is always some kind of weird event going on around me for the new
Mhm.
moon. I can feel it really heavily.
Yeah. Like a black hole.
Yeah. And the new moon is about new beginnings, right? It's about creating that. We were talking about manifestation earlier.
Mhm.
It's about like, it's kind of like everything is new. And then it's like, this beautiful black, just screen that we can just create upon. But for whatever reason, I always feel that mysterious center in a new moon. But it is about new beginnings.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I've never really, like, so much about the new moon. I always think about the
Hmm.
full moon, but
Hmm.
yeah, crazy,
It's
crazy. Well,
crazy.
hopefully everybody'll, be okay with the full moon coming up, what is it, Tuesday next week
What's to
is
say
full moon?
August full moon is when August 1st? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Tuesday next week.
Hmm.
August 23rd is Mercury retrograde, so we'll get through that.
We're not going to sweat it. We're not going to
No, it'll
sweat
be
it.
fine. It'll be fine. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully, yeah. And so you had some good Poshmark
I
sales this
did.
week.
I did.
So you had a couple wins. I had a couple wins this week. So we had positive week for the two of
Yes.
us. Hopefully
Yes.
everybody in the chat has had some positivity this week.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and shout out your positivity if you did. I
Yes.
think let's see, we did talk about, you weren't here last week, so you didn't give us an assignment.
Okay.
Your assignment before was, to do the was done list,
Mm-hmm.
which,
How was that working?
so it was okay. I still feel like I needed to do some kind of like to do or something.
Yes.
Kristen and I were talking about that last week, and
Mm-hmm.
we needed a like a kind of like a to like a time block or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that was more along the lines of,
Time blocks are awesome. I
yeah,
have to, because of my ADHD, I have to use time blocks.
yeah,
And I will literally, like, on days that I know are crazy and I know are going to be crazy, or I'm like not feeling energetically okay, like I did it today. I actually time blocked out some space for me to nap and watch TV because I knew I needed it.
yeah.
Right? The stress of this morning was crazy. So I was like, okay, you know what? From 12:30 to 2:30, I'm going to sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing. And I
Oh,
actually fell asleep. I took a nap. It was great. But I even time blocked that space of energy for me because I knew I needed it. And then I could actually create another space, a time block where I could work, and it felt more in flow. I love time blocks. I think they are very powerful. And when you are in a time block, you can get so much done. But I
mhm,
also think recognizing what you're doing is really, really important.
mhm.
So like writing it down, like I got this accomplished, I got that accomplished, I got this accomplished, is going to help keep you motivated even through that time block.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That when we
I'm
begin to
not so
like
good with it though.
celebrate ourselves and stuff, and we're getting into that energy of like celebrating ourselves and like being like, yeah, you did it, yeah,
Mhm.
go. It can create a momentum all in itself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like I do think like when we are recognizing what we're doing as we're doing it, we're in that present state of moment, which is where we want to be. We're in that present state of moment, and it's creating a momentum for the next moment.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff to like literally recognize what you're doing when you're doing it and being present for it.
Mhm. That's good.
Yeah.
All I can say is that I still was not great with doing time blocks. The was done list was pretty good, but I still need some kind of like to-do list or like something to like remember what I need to get done.
So
Uh,
why don't you do like instead of doing like a big giant master to-do list, why don't you do like okay, I'm going to do a to-do list of 3 items. I'm going to get these 3 items done. And when those are done, I'll create another 3 item to-do list. How does
yeah.
that feel?
Oh, I can definitely do that. I'm always worried I'm going to forget to do things,
Hmm.
like the big things. And so
So maybe there is a master to-do list that like you're not focusing on all day long, but you write it down, put it in the back of your notebook, or
Mhm.
like on a, I don't know if you're doing this in a notebook or if you're doing it on your like Microsoft Word, but like maybe have like a notes page where you have like a master to-do list where it's not always in the front, but it's always there for you to write down and jot down what needs to be done so that when you're focused on the 3 things that you need to get done and you cross them off, you cross and put them over on your to-done list, you can go, okay, so what else needs to be done today? And you can go to your master list and pick 3 things and pull them forward.
Do you remember like way back, what was the Franklin planners? Remember Franklin
I
planners?
do. I love them.
I know. I loved Franklin planners. Do
Mm-hmm.
you remember the to-do list, like the way you were supposed to do the to-do list on a Franklin planner?
No.
Remember that? Like, I remember, like, I don't remember, like, if it was in college or but I remember taking, like, there was, like, a seminar
Uh-huh.
you got, like, with the Franklin Planner, or you could take with getting a Franklin Planner. But there was the to-do list part, and you had these
Uh-huh.
big, and, like, you prioritized your to-do list. So there was 1, 2s, and 3s, and then they would rank up. So
Mhm.
you had your the 1s were, of course, your priority, and then the 2s were, like, the next, like,
Mhm.
down the line, and the 3s were, like, eventually you needed to get to them, but they weren't, like, a major thing.
Yeah.
And so then, like, you would rank them up.
Mhm.
And so, I'm kinda thinking, like, I almost need to start doing them, like, that
I
way.
don't know, like, I hear that in my ADHD brain. What I know what I would do is that everything that was marked a 3 would stay a 3 forever.
Yeah, but it still is, like, out there going, like, you need to get this done eventually,
Yeah,
someday, and it's, like, out
yeah.
there, and you see it, and it's, like, triggers you. Like, for me, I'd be like, "I
So
know it's there."
I wonder, let's do this. So, like, let's play with that a little bit. Maybe we do mark things as, like, 1 as the most priority, 3 is the easiest, needs to get done some point, right?
Mhm.
But in those 3 things that you have, the 3 things that you're gonna pull forward, maybe you pull forward a 1, 2, and a 3,
Okay.
right?
Like, ones would be, like, my most important things.
Right. 2s
Shipping.
would be like, okay, these need to get done throughout the week, and then 3 is something easy that can get done whenever. But I also think, like, those pieces need to be accomplished too, because if you put 3s off too long, they're never gonna really become a priority, or then they're gonna become like a last minute, "Oh, crap, I gotta get this done right now." And
3
I
would be,
think
like,
you're
laundry.
yeah, but that still needs to get done.
I
You
know.
know what I'm saying? Like, it's still like that's an important listen to me, like, these kind of things like laundry, people do put off, and I'm gonna tell you something, you're putting off your own self-care, and you're important.
Mhm.
You know, there's things that we need to get done and things that we have to do, but there are things that are going to make you feel better when you do them, right? Like, literally taking care of something, cleaning something up, walking into a bathroom that's a mess and it's clothes everywhere. That is going to create stress in the brain, and it's going to create a barrier in your focus on what needs to get done.
Mhm.
So I do think, like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to prioritize them, I don't think I would just focus on all ones. I think I would maybe do a 1, 2, and a 3, or 2 ones and a 3, or 2 ones and a 2, but bring that stuff over so that it's getting done and getting accomplished too.
True.
I think
Very
we put ourselves as a priority last, a last priority, and we need to start pulling ourselves up to the top.
yes.
And I think that's a very important part of the whole process in getting, like, the to was done list, is because we are recognizing what we're actually doing. If I'm in the middle of working and I need to go run the dishes and do some, cleaning in my kitchen, and I put on my was done list that I wash the dishes, like, I know that when I want to go get a cup of coffee, I'm going to have a clean cup. That's going to make me feel good. It's going to make me feel in flow. It's going to help my focus, right? And
Mhm.
if I walk into the kitchen and all the dishes are piled up in the sink and if nothing's ever got done, then it's going to cause more stress in my
Right.
body, and it's going to take away my focus from the big important projects that needs to get done. So I think we have to pull ourselves up as a priority.
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
think we stop need to making ourselves a 3 and start making ourselves a 1.
Yes. Very true.
Mhm,
Very true. Amen to that.
mhm.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice for this week. How can you make yourself not a 3 and a 1? Maybe, like, let's journal on that and ask ourselves, like, where are we marking ourselves as a 3 in our lives? And how can we turn that into a 1?
Okay. Let's make ourselves a priority.
Yes.
I think
Yes,
I agree with that.
that's the assignment for this week.
Okay. We're gonna make
Okay.
ourselves a priority. I love
Yes.
it. I love
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Awesome.
Me too.
Well, Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And I hope we'll all see each other next Monday.
Or in
And
the replay, or in the replays of this, make
yes,
sure you
or in
drop
the
your comments
replay.
down.
Yes, definitely share the replay, watch the replay. Yay. Oh, I'm so glad, Mel. Yay. Yes, thanks, Kristen, for joining.
Thank you,
Yay.
everybody. Thank you for being
Yes.
here.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.